I read a story once of a man having a midlife crisis and sitting on a bus. He sees an advertisement for a holiday resort. There is a photograph taken from someone lying on a beach. You can see their toes, the hot sand and the blue sky beyond. Everything is perfect. 48 hours of frantic booking and travelling later, our man is sitting on that beach looking at the same view over his toes. A beer is in his hand. Perfect. Wonderful. Then it starts. Did he cancel the milk? Why did she leave him? Why did he never finish his degree? His worries have travelled with him, perfectly preserved, and now torment him exactly as they did before. He should have gone to sea for a week. You start in the same way. Your problems jostle each other in your mind, along with the new ones associated with getting used to sharing a space the size of a camper van with 6 other people. For the first 24 hours, once you're luring yourself gingerly into this new way of life, you doze rather than sleep. And while you do so, you fret. Issues come popping up into your mind as if to say, "Ha, you thought we were left behind." Leaving one with an impression of disorientation. You are literally at sea. But then, things clear. As the fatigue cleanses your mind, you feel only simple emotions. Am I cold? Am I hungry? Do I need a crap? And of course, the wonderful, exhilarating driving emotion of how do we make this boat go faster? That's all you think about for a whole week.
That's 30 miles. Whee! 30 miles gig.
Cracking start. 2021 Fastnet. Bunch of boats out today.
Yeah. Piece the camera on.
Well, we've got to get the jib up or something. Andrew, I've been pretty happy. Not far off here. On a starboard tack. What is there on a port top? There's not doing too bad, this. No. And I think we're starboard. 5 minutes, tack away, and then we'll run on past the gun. Okay. You're reading the sail. Under 4 minutes. Behind Laura. Watch out all the time. They're all going to the absolute side. I think we're coming up. You can hard enough a bit. Clear area. See what the line looks like. 150. Line. 1 minute. Line. We tack it at time. Serve. Serve.
We sit outside facing a large screen with lots of beautiful shapes on it. They show wind arrows, England, France and Ireland. A tight low-pressure system showing its head off Brest, and a rather scary one out in the Atlantic. But that's off to the left and being projected onto the wall of the house behind, so luckily we can't see it. The charming man standing on a podium is talking to us. He's 50-ish, wears jeans, shirt and boating shoes. He explains that he's both a weather forecaster and a sailor, but on this occasion he'll be taking the ferry to France rather than the longer way that we're going. He smiles as he explains he looks forward to seeing us in France for dinner or lunch or breakfast, depending on what time and day we make it. The information flows in that fabulous monotone of, you should know all this, but I have to tell you for insurance reasons. The use of AIS, the 3 ID gates over the 700 VHS channels of 28 and 72, the lobster pots, the exclusion zone when we get to within 5 miles of Cherbourg, which suddenly seems rather how to avoid commercial traffic in the TMSs, to make sure that we take a bearing of 069 degrees, especially around the cities. When? To make sure that we sign the declaration form at the end. I'm frantically writing all of this stuff down, thinking I really hope no one can see the nerves in my face. I look up to check and see Piers, our navigator, fast asleep in his chair after one too many glasses of rosé wine in the squadron dining room with Uncle George. I sigh and put my notes away. I'm not in charge. I get a lift of spirit as I realise how liberating it is not to have ultimate responsibility for what we are to do. Unlike work and, to a lesser extent, home. What's the worst that can happen? Well, there's that. But we could blame it on God, and he's always kept an eye on me, so that's okay. Phew. We all worry in life. It's either a hum or a banging noise, depending on where you are in 100 different cycles. Your physical strength, financial pressures, relationships, they all fly around in multi-level orbits, around our souls like Marley's ghosts. Depending on how they align, the noise is either music or artillery-level gunfire. I run warm, that is to say, I tend to look for issues at my feet rather than scanning the horizon. But one of the things I love most about sailing is that the problems one faces tend to be slow-moving, albeit serious. Even a spar creaks and groans its warning before it shatters, and the sea and the wind, for all of their power, always tell you to some degree what's coming. It's a question of whether you want to look down the track and worry or not. Our crew is varied both in age and knowledge. I'm probably the least experienced sailor, but I'm definitely the nerdiest. We have 3 skippers. Actually, they're the 3 owners of the boat, Olly, Piers and Andrew. There's no obvious leader, although the crew note below deck that Andrew is the one who fixes the head when it's been blocked, so he gets the greatest respect. Olly's in charge of food, and in addition to fantastic suppers, he runs a well-stocked wine cellar. Every evening, he and James, another drinking sailor, huddle and whisper over their selection. They remind me of the character Preserved Killick from the Patrick O'Brian books. Finally, we have 2 young lads, Sam and Freddie. They're encouraged to do the riskier work on the foredeck, especially at night, in the same way that subalterns were ordered to make raids in the trenches. We're separated into 2 watches, 4 on and 4 off, with an afternoon dog watch to rotate the hours. It's a very comfortable rhythm. I'm in Andrew's watch with Freddie. We gently compete with the others, who did the most miles, changed a sail without assistance, or drank 11 pints one night in 1988, that kind of thing. There are other little habits. For example, Sam always makes tea for our watch when we come up, which I always bless him for. The crew mock my lack of hearing. I'm not sure if I am going deaf, but I do know that I find it hard to concentrate on the race sometimes. The sailing quickly becomes a form of meditation for me, and my mind can wander. If you want to experience life in England in the past, then you'll need a 3D helmet, some decent software and a lively imagination. But if you want to know what it was like to be a monk fleeing persecution to the Irish Blasket Islands, a a Catholic king running for your life to France, or a gun runner smuggling rifles for rebellion in 1916, then just go to sea. Nothing's changed. The wind, the tide and the crew are all you have to experience, and they're just the same now as they were then. It's perfect.
Sitting around the fireside, really feeling that I like every little time that I get a chance to close my eyes. If you're gonna make it soon, maybe we could get our room, but I need some rest from gloom, otherwise I feel I'm doomed. You be looking over like you really know me. Maybe take a picture, take a couple, guess it's free. I don't wanna give another guarantee. Look me in the eyes right now, run away with me, or to a place that you thought you never really see. You'd be looking funny when you're living so free. But all I ever was, afraid to take the plunge. I heard too many things, I prayed that they were wrong, but I'm still happy now. Just think of what could be if I was still around. The schedules were free. I'm missing the seas I'd swing when I used to truly bring everything I had to bring. I'd given everything. I just wanna live in bliss. Baby, can you grant this wish? You're the piece that might just fit in my puzzle that's in.
Yeah. I know. Never look the same. I know. Just want to get the impression of the speed.
Look me in the eyes right now, run away with me, or to a place that you thought you never really see. You'd be looking funny when you're living so free. But all I ever was, afraid to take the plunge. I heard too many things, I prayed that.
There we have Aviva. Came second in the Vendée.
You be looking over like you really know me. Maybe take a picture, take a couple, guess it's free. I don't wanna give another guarantee. Look me in the eyes right now, run away with me, or to a place that you thought you never really see.
And this is the finish of the Fastnet 2021 race.
Afraid to take the plunge. I heard too many things, I prayed that they were wrong, but I'm still happy now. Just think of what could be if I was still around. The schedules were free.
The finish of the race is many things. It's quiet. In fact, it was nip and tuck as to whether there was sufficient wind to overcome an awkward tide at the final moments. It's beautiful, a shimmering morning, and we drift between the 19th century forts, holding our breath. And then all shake hands. Then suddenly it's all action. Engine on, sail down, and James approaches me. Now, he explains, is the hardest part of the race, mate, getting off the boat. He's not wrong. As we come into the harbour, a French crew in matching Breton tops stop cleaning their boat and clap us in. I'm suddenly glad I made everyone wear the shirts I'd had made and doused them all with mint essence to hide the odeur de les Anglais. Minutes later we're in the bar, then a restaurant for a long lunch. Later I lie on the warm grass listening to the church bells ringing and feeling the world tilt and swerve. Rejoining the human race is like regaining feelings in limbs suffering from pins and needles. Before we leave, I go aboard one of the swift-looking white plastic French boats. Inside, it's like a huge IKEA fridge. Everything's neat and tidy. The crew's Crocs shoes are tied up in neat string bags, and the chart table has an Apple computer poised over it. In contrast, my new friend Maurice is appalled at the Hogarthian conditions on board Easy Glider. Tired and emotional crew lie asleep on deck and down below. I point in mock honour, "Ça c'est mon capitaine," as I try to draw a blanket over Piers's peaceful face. "Oui, Franz, Maurice, je comprends tout." Later, we motor back to Pacau's overnight, crossing the channel in totally calm conditions. Just as the sun is finally dropping, 2 Royal Navy destroyers pass our bows, escorting a merchant vessel carrying who knows what. They show up as unknown on the AIS and seem to move with no form of propulsion, like sharks in the water.
You spend most of the season doing 1 or 2 nights at sea, and it's pretty tiring because you never really get into a rhythm. And the thing that I loved about the Fastnet is that over 5 or 6 days you get past that horrible point, don't you, Abby? You start to get into your rhythm after sort of a couple of days.